I'm watching you from my thoughts. You wake up one morning, check your bank balance, and feel that quiet tension in your chest. It's lower than you expected again. But you tell yourself it's fine. You'll figure it out later. Then you swipe your card, maybe for something small, coffee, a ride, a quick treat. And for a fleeting moment, it feels good. Familiar. Like exhaling after holding your breath. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That small wave of comfort you feel isn't freedom. It's your captor, whispering softly that everything is okay. We often think of Stockholm Syndrome as something that happens in hostage situations, people forming bonds with their captors. But what if I told you that you are not alone? In fact, millions of people are living out that same story every day, through debt. Because in many ways, bad debt is the perfect captor. It doesn't need chains or walls. It just needs your belief that you can't live without. Here is a little background on the Stockholm Syndrome. In 1973, in Stockholm, Sweden, 4 bank employees were held hostage for 6 days. When police finally rescued them, something shocking happened. The hostages defended their captors. One even helped raise money for the robbers' legal defense. Psychologists were baffled. How could victims form emotional attachments to those who terrorized them? But Dr. Judith Herman, a Harvard psychiatrist, later explained that when people lose control, they bond with whatever gives them the slightest sense of safety, even their abuser. It's a survival instinct. Now think about how we handle financial pressure. We lose control. We feel cornered by bills, by expectations, by the fear of falling behind. And then debt steps in, offering a temporary way out. A loan, a credit card, a payment plan. And suddenly that tension fades just a little. You feel secure again. But that's how it begins. The emotional bond forms not out of love, but out of dependence. Just like a hostage who feels protected by the captor who feeds them, you start to feel grateful to the system that's actually keeping you trapped. Debt begins as survival. You borrow for rent, for school, for emergencies. It feels rational, even noble. But the more you depend on it, the more it owns you. You stop asking, "How do I get out?" and start asking, "How do I stay afloat?" Every hostage story has a moment when the captor shows mercy. A glass of water, a kind word. Victims mistake it for care. Debt does the same. The bank offers a grace period. The credit card gives points, cashback, rewards. You start saying, "They're not so bad." Dr. Aaron Beck, the father of cognitive behavioral therapy, called this distorted thinking. The lies we tell ourselves to reduce discomfort. You say, "Everyone has debt. It's only 18% interest. It's good for my credit score." Debt gives us what psychologists call false self-validation. The new car, the upgraded phone, the apartment that's just out of reach, they become symbols of worth. Without them, people feel invisible. So they keep borrowing to maintain the image, even if the real cost is peace. Let's put faces to this. Case 1, the student dreamer. She borrows $100,000 for a degree that promises opportunity. When the job doesn't pay enough, she turns to credit cards to maintain the lifestyle she thought she'd earned. Every bill feels like betrayal, but every swipe feels like hope. She tells herself, it's temporary. 3 years later, she owes more than when she started. Her captor, belief in future income. Case 2, the working professional. He earns well, but spends more. His credit card rewards him with miles and discounts. He calls it strategy. Yet every month, he pays minimum balances, just enough to stay alive. He's not budgeting. He's negotiating with his captor. Case 3, the digital borrower. Instant loans. Payday apps. Borrow now, pay later. Quick dopamine hits that modern finance has perfected. Studies from the University of Nottingham show microcredit increases short-term happiness, but deepens long-term anxiety and dependence. You get a rush, followed by regret. That's how addiction works. Psychologically, bad debt behaves like any addiction. A 2016 paper in the Journal of Behavioral Addictions found that spending activates the same dopamine pathways as gambling. The brain learns, spending equals pleasure, paying equals pain. In a different viewpoint, let us look at how the brain actually betrays you. It's shocking, and trust me, I know about it firsthand. When you borrow money or make a purchase, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical of anticipation and reward. It's the same neurotransmitter that drives love, addiction, and even obsession. That means your brain literally rewards you for borrowing. You feel powerful, in control, even hopeful. And here's where it gets darker. According to behavioral psychologist Dr. Robert Cialdini, once you make a decision, Your brain works overtime to justify it, to protect your self-image. It's called the commitment and consistency principle. So instead of admitting a financial mistake, your brain rewrites the story. You say, I needed that loan. I'll pay it off soon. It's not that bad, everyone's in debt. You start defending your captor. And the longer you do, the harder it becomes to see the chains. This isn't just a personal flaw, it's cultural conditioning. The modern economy is built on consumption, not production. Economist John Kenneth Galbraith warned about this in the 1950s. He said the world was shifting from making things people need to making people need things. Credit cards became a way to sell dreams you couldn't afford. Advertising blurred the line between desire and necessity. And banks, they learned to use psychology better than any therapist. They know that humans crave belonging, and that spending is the easiest way to feel it. That's why your credit limit increase feels like validation. That's why you get pre-approved messages dressed up as congratulations. They're not offering freedom. They're reinforcing obedience. Debt stopped being a tool. It became a system of control, one that hides behind convenience and comfort. Debt is seductive because it gives you identity. Think about it. A car loan isn't just transportation, it's status. A mortgage isn't just shelter, it's proof that you've made it. Even a credit card becomes a badge of belonging, a way to say, I'm capable. We start to equate borrowing with becoming. And soon we stop measuring our worth by who we are, and start measuring it by what we owe. Psychologist Eric from once said, modern man is enslaved by the illusion of freedom. Debt lets you live that illusion. It makes you feel powerful, while quietly owning your future. And when the system normalizes it, you stop questioning it. You start to think debt is inevitable, like gravity. That's how captivity turns invisible. So, how do you know when you've crossed the line, from user to captive? Ask yourself, do you feel anxious when you're not spending? Do you get a rush when your credit limit goes up? Do you avoid checking your balances because it ruins your mood? Do you tell yourself it's manageable, even when it's clearly not? If yes, then you're not just dealing with financial debt. You're dealing with emotional debt. And emotional debt is harder to pay off because it's woven into your identity. You start believing that comfort equals peace. But comfort is what keeps the chains invisible. I'm sure you are now asking if you can actually get out. Escaping this isn't about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about reclaiming mental clarity. First, face the captor. Write down every debt you owe, every one. Bring it out of the shadows. Because unacknowledged debt grows stronger in silence. Second, rewire the reward system. Each time you save instead of spend, notice the feeling. That small discomfort? That's growth. And when you learn to sit with it, you're teaching your brain that peace doesn't come from spending. It comes from control. Third, rebuild your identity. You are not your possessions. You are not your mistakes. You are not the digits in your account. You are the one who gets to decide how this story ends. Freedom hurts at first. It always does. When you start saying no to unnecessary spending, you'll feel deprived. When you cancel the card, it'll feel like you've lost a part of yourself. That's withdrawal. You're detaching from something that once defined you. Friends who are still addicted to lifestyle inflation might mock you. They'll call you boring. They'll say you're overreacting. But remember, people still trapped in their own prisons will always mock the ones walking out. Every no you say to debt is a yes to your future self. And that's the most powerful trade you'll ever make. Once you break free, you begin to see how the system really works. You stop chasing money and start commanding it. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, does this serve me? You begin to realize something profound. Wealth isn't about accumulation. It's about autonomy. Philosopher Seneca wrote, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. When you finally understand that, money loses its power to control you. It becomes a tool, not a master. And your peace stops being something you buy and becomes something you build. Most people never escape because they wait for someone else to rescue them. A higher salary, a miracle investment, a government policy. But no one's coming. Because in this story, you're both the hostage and the hero. Debt will always exist. The economy needs it. But that doesn't mean you have to feed it. The day you stop loving what's destroying you is the day you start becoming who you were meant to be. Warren Buffett once said, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. So start before they're heavy. Start small. Start with honesty. Start by no longer mistaking comfort for peace. Because once you stop serving your captor, the economy doesn't just change. You do. And that's where real wealth begins.